Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sandra Ryerson. I'm a doctor of audiology living in Carroll, Iowa, and today's topic is regarding strategies for those of you who have family and friends with hearing loss. Strategies to help you communicate more effectively with those loved ones. I thought with being in the holiday season, this is a very timely topic for us to cover. As you may know, even if people with hearing loss wear hearing aids, they will still struggle at times to understand what you're saying. And this is a really important topic for us to discuss at a different time than today. However, today we're going to discuss how you can effectively communicate with them. So let's go ahead and get started. First, when speaking with someone with hearing loss, make sure that you're on their level. So if they're sitting, you're sitting. If they're standing, you're standing, and so on. Make sure it's a good light in the room, because the reason for this is because the person you're speaking with is going to be looking at your lips. Whenever challenged to understand, a person's going to focus on your lips. That's just human nature. So let's make it easier for that person to do that. Don't talk to someone one room away. That is not an effective way to communicate. Be in the same room as the person you wish to communicate with. Even if a person wears hearing aids are not programmed to hear people 1 or 2 rooms away. So please be in the same room when you wish to communicate with someone. And this next tip is so important. Speak slowly. By speaking slowly, you automatically become more distinct and clear. And shouting or exaggerating what you're saying only distorts what you're trying to say. Plus, it just brings negative attention to the person you're communicating with. So please, do not shout. Don't exaggerate what you're saying. Just slow down. When initiating the conversation, say the person's name first. This will get their attention and they will be ready to hear what you have to say. When someone has normal hearing, if they miss the first few words, they often can fill them in. But for those with hearing loss, they're already working hard just to understand what's being said, and so therefore trying to fill in what they missed is too tall of a task to ask. It's not unusual for someone with hearing loss to favor a certain ear. Usually they'll advocate for themselves and say, this is my better ear, please sit on this side. But if they don't, just look for certain cues such as this or just turning like this, and try and accommodate for that. Be aware of background noise. If the room is very noisy, background noise is going to interfere with speech, especially for people with hearing loss. And hearing aids are still trying to figure out how to help people hearing noise. So if you can, reduce the background noise. Turn down the TV or mute the TV. Turn down the music. Or if you can't do either of those, move to a different room. Another really kind thing to do when you're speaking in a group and someone in the group has hearing loss is to help reacquaint them with the conversation. So for instance, if a person, on one end of the group says something that totally changes the conversation direction of the conversation, the topic of the conversation, those people with hearing loss may not have heard that, and they may not be aware that the conversation has moved on to something else. And so if this is noticed, if the person looks confused or they're still talking about something you were talking about 2 minutes ago, bring them into the conversation, acquaint them with the topic again. Say, for instance, you could say, John, we were talking about cattle prices, but so-and-so brought this up, and what do you think about that? And this is something that is hard for people with hearing loss. It's embarrassing. And if you can find a way to show grace and bring that person back into the conversation, it is very nice for that hard of hearing person to have a friend like that in the room. So be aware of that as well. And with that, just pay attention. If someone looks confused or has a blank expression, that typically means they're lost and they've lost where you're at in the conversation. So try and bring them back into the conversation. When communicating a specific time or date or specific details you want someone to remember, it's great if you can find a way to write these details down. Text, email is fantastic. And if you're very close with this person, you could just say, it's important to me, Grandma, that you understand what I'm saying. Could you please just repeat that back to me to make sure that you have that correct? Typically, if someone has hearing loss, they don't mind doing this, especially if you're in a close relationship with them. They appreciate that you care enough to make sure they understand. So wrapping this up, I just want to say that for those of you who have family and friends with hearing loss, please try to remember that a hearing aid is an aid. It is not yet a corrective device. Due to this, a person just can't work harder at hearing, and communication is a two-way street. You, as part of the conversation, need to do your part to make sure you're understood. If you had a family member or friend that was in a wheelchair or had vision problems, you would make accommodations or plans to help that person. And the same should be true for people with hearing loss. You should make some plans or accommodations to work with them to improve your ability to communicate. And I can tell you, for those that are hard of hearing, there is no better gift than having family and friends who are loving and supportive and understanding of their hearing impairment. And so with that, I wish you all a wonderful holiday season. I hope you have a safe holiday season, and I hope these tips help you communicate with your loved ones during this special time of year. I look forward to seeing you in 2019, and until then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.